All right, Leigh, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's an absolute honor to have you on here. So, I want everybody to know we are going to still do our two stories that we have to talk about tonight. But the fact that we are doing these stories is kind of the reason why you and I are here right now and talking. Because if you don't mind, I want to read your message that you had left a few days ago. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. She was in the community tab, and she had left a comment, and she said, "I just found your channel. I'm a retired crimes against children and homicide detective in Louisville. I love to give you some of my opinions and expertise I've learned over my 20-year career. You're an angel, and we both are both warrior advocates for children." I'm messing that up. Sorry about that. "I'm so impressed with your attitude, views, and commitment to helping those who don't have." So that's kind of how our interaction started. I noticed that a lot of people that actually got on there and they had commented, talking to you, and all of that kind of good stuff. What do you kind of want to let the people know as far as like what you do, your background? Kind of give us an idea about where you come from.
Well, I'm 51 years old now, and at 19, I joined. At the point then, it was Jefferson County Police in Kentucky in 1989, and I wrote a beat, and then I went to Crimes Against Children, where I worked mostly sexual crimes against children, and then from there I went and joined the homicide. By then, Louisville Metro Police. It became Louisville Metro Police, and I was in homicide until I decided to retire at 20. We had 20 years then. It was 20 years and out, and you could retire with a full pension.
Wow. So
In
what can you kind of tell
2009.
us as far as like some significant points in your career as far as over that period of time? I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of things going on. I know you see a lot of things going on right now. Like what are some significant moments you can kind of share with us about your career?
Well, I didn't particularly care for, riding around in a circle and riding a beat. And I and we can get into this later, but I myself am a survivor of attack when I was younger, and my father was also a police officer. So I knew I wanted to follow in his steps, and I knew that once, because it's kind of like you can't come into police work and go straight into crimes against children or homicide. It's stepping stones. So, I did what I had to do, wrote a beat, got into crimes against children. Like I said, I did work some physical cases, assisted in hundreds of cases, but my main focus was sexual crimes against children. And then from there, I knew that um, I my goal was to reach homicide and then retire. And so I checked off all the boxes,
Hmm.
and I had a pretty stellar career.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate not only your service to what you do. Um, I guess like what drives you as far as like your compassion and your for the children as far as like from the inside, like kind of where does that come from? Because not everybody cares about kids. Like I feel like people should. I don't feel like there's quite as much attention given to that, especially like in the media world.
Well, funny you bring that up, because I'm going to give you a kind of a opinion that may not be super popular, but I get a little irritated when I get on Facebook and I see people dressing up their dogs, getting their dogs stocking stuffers, getting their dogs Easter ears, and I get to myself, not that, I mean, I'm not, I have a dog, I have a child that's autistic, I have a autism therapy dog, but I do get frustrated sometimes when I see people, going on and, oh, not that I want anybody to be mean to animals. Don't take it that way. But I'm like, if we cared as much about our animals as we did our children, it just baffles my mind that people will speak out or call the police if there's a locked dog in a car, but yet people will turn their head, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to get involved when it's a, crime against a child.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. And, my compassion is just that these are children, they have no voice. They have no body. They can't stand up for themselves. So they've got to have an advocate. They've got to have people who will stand up for them and speak out, even when, it's like I always say, even if it's something very small, and I know you've covered so many horrible, horrific crimes, against children, but be vigilant, watch out, take care of your neighbor. If you see something that's not, we all have that intuition, I think, that gut instinct. And if you see something where you're like, well, oh, no, I don't want to call, no, I don't want to get involved, then you're just as bad as the person, I'm not, the perpetrator. I mean, anything small and that you might think is insignificant could be something that is very significant to the case.
Right.
So always be an advocate and remember that these children, some of them have nobody. And if we don't stick up for them and we don't advocate for them, nobody else is going to.
Let me ask you this, because I want to talk to you about so much stuff, but I'll try to keep this brief with you. Something as simple as one of our mantras on the show, hashtag see something, say something. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I'll be real honest with you because it's just me and you talking. Nobody else is listening. But I tend to take credit for that saying, even though it might have been around, before our stream. But I do like to kind of take ownership of it because I know it's a message that I push quite a bit. Because people always ask, like, how do I get involved? What can I do? And one of the simple things that I tell them is if you see something, you can say something, as in you can report it. There are plenty of places to call. If nothing else, you can call, information. You can call 911, depending on what the situation is. But
and be anonymous. You don't have to give your name.
But, and one of the things that I try to remind people is that you could be wrong. Maybe you don't know the full details. But I almost would rather you say something and be wrong than not say anything and it end up on the news. What do you think about that simple saying, hashtag see something, say something?
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. Because I couldn't carry that guilt. I couldn't. If I knew that I had seen something, saw something, and I didn't say anything, and then I find out later on what happened, I'm sorry. I couldn't carry that guilt. Sorry, if I call on something that was maybe, wasn't anything and put somebody a little bit, out, and I didn't mean to, but, if they're not doing anything and there's nothing that needs to be done, then, okay, honest mistake. But you can't go back and rewrite history once the abuse or a murder or sexual abuse or whatever is already done. You can't go back.
So, okay. So let's go here. How do you end up finding my channel? Because I do the best I can to try to share it, but I'm just one person. I kind of do this thing by myself, along with the help of, my AFC family who's in the chat and they're listening, they're watching, they're speaking to you and saying hi and all of that good stuff. But, how do you come across my channel? Because like I said, I know that I do the best that I can to try to spread the news of particular stories. And I try to stay with up-to-date stories, like as far as like things that are happening right now. Like I think it can be a good thing to go back and revisit things that have happened in the past and try to make it to where, okay, we see the mistakes that were made here. We can do better to try to fix it to make sure that these things don't happen again. But with the microwave society that we're in right now, we have so much stuff that's going on that's so pertinent right here and right now. So many things going on, and I feel like we can make the biggest impact like right now. How did you end up finding my channel?
Well, I love YouTube and I watch a lot of true crime. And I'll be honest with you, and I think there'll be a lot of people in the chat that will know what I'm talking about. I'm very blunt. If I have to see one more story about Chris Watts and Shanann Watts, which I think is horrible, and how I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but he was the one who murdered his wife, and killed his two baby girls and put them in oil tanks. I mean, that's all over true crime. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
every true crime. And I happened upon you and I saw just your caption about, 8-month-old baby. And I was like, oh, I haven't heard of this yet. And so I clicked on you, and then, not to be an ass kisser, but once I watched 5 minutes of you, I was like, wow, he is awesome. Like, he tells it like it is. He doesn't sugarcoat things. He doesn't, because a lot of people are like, I can't say this and I can't say that because I might be demonetized.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care, because you're advocating for that victim. You don't care if you say something that might, because some channels won't say pedophile. Some channels won't say, just certain words. They're like, I'll be demonetized. And like, I just went down a rabbit hole and just started watching all your videos. And I was like, wow, he is amazing. And your commitment is amazing.
I look. I could take a compliment. I'll tell you that right now. You got a black man over here blushing right now, so I could take a compliment. So I definitely appreciate that. But let me say this, because I know you've probably, in your 20-year career, you have seen a lot. And again, I want to, if you didn't hear me the first time, I'm gonna say thank you so much for your service, because I want to say two things, because my memory's really bad. I want to I've already forgotten the second part. The first part that I want to address, as far as oh Lord, I didn't forgot that too. Hold on.
That's all right.
Remember. My memory gets a little bad sometimes, which is why I have a script in front of me, so that way I can kind of make sure and hit my points. But when it comes to, I guess, what kind of led me to doing what I do now, and your career, because it seems like I could pretty much say that you've dedicated your life to justice. Would that be fair to say?
100%, yes.
Perfect. So here's my point that I'm gonna make. I go really hard on criminals. I go really hard on thugs. I go really hard on bad mothers, bad parenting, bad stepfathers, bad anybody who causes hurt, harm, and danger to children. Okay? And not only because I have a background in being a youth counselor, which is really cool and all of that kind of good stuff, because I've seen kids from all over the United States of America. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Christian organization Kanakuk Camps. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I have not.
They spell it with a K, so if people are interested in looking that up, Kanakuk, spelled with a K, Kanakuk, is actually a Christian-based organization, and what they try to do is they try to run summer camps, among a lot of other things that they do. But they bring kids in from all over the place. Not only, your kids that might be a little more affluent than others have kind of a camp for themselves that can pay for it and all of that kind of good stuff. But when you have some of your disenfranchised communities, a lot of those people might not be able to pay those fees. So they've set it up to where a lot of those disadvantaged children can come into a camp, spend some time there, learn a lot of, they learn so much stuff there, and not to go too much into detail with that, but I've spent some time not only being a camper, but I've also been a counselor. So it's kind of always been in my heart. I'm a father as well, so that definitely helps. But let me be really, really honest with you and the rest of the world right now. I have not always lived a clean, spitting image life of what I like to call a law-abiding citizen, okay? There are some things that I've done in my life that I'm not proud of, some things that, could classify me in certain ways, not no baby killer beater or nothing like that, because I don't, do stuff like that. But I've done my share of, just things that I'm just not proud of. So I said to myself at one point,
you don't beat yourself up, because we've all made mistakes. That's human nature. I've made mistakes. I've atoned for my mistakes, without getting into it. So I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, but and deep in my heart, I know I'm a good person. I may not have always made the best decision, or I could have handled things differently, but I think, don't beat yourself up about that.
Yeah. But I will tell you this, because I know I've definitely, done some things. So I felt like I just woke up one day and I said, you know what? That's not who I want to be. That's not what I want my legacy to be. And I try to describe it to people like this. I say, like, every day we're writing the book of our life. Every day we're writing, our paragraphs in there, how our day is, and we're constantly putting chapters in that book. And I said, when people go back and read my book, I wonder what they're going to say about me. And so I got to a point where I said, I want to make a difference. I want people to really say, some amazing things about my life's work. And I will say, not only can I attribute some of the things that I've done for the youth, even being a father figure, whatever the case is, but what this show has kind of allowed me to do, which I didn't realize, that I just ended up coming across some stories and I was just like, why is nobody talking about this? Why is this not a big deal? Like, why is there not something dedicated to talking about this every single day and trying to put these people to shame? So I just said, I'll do it myself. These are stories I care about. I'll just do it myself. And I said, you know what? I've always been really good with helping people with any platform that I have, whether it be something with promotions, where they have to do with club management or whatever the case is. I've always tried to make sure that people have an opportunity to, to share my platform and use it to their advantage. And with this particular platform, it's started out, very small. I really didn't have a lot of people listening to me, but like I said, I was thankful to the point where, people started to share. People started to really understand what my message is and what I'm trying to accomplish here. You know what I mean? So I guess it's more or less an honor for me to be able to kind of write that type of stuff in, the book of my life, and be able to share that not only with the AFC extended family, but people around the world. These videos have really started to spread in a way that I just never thought that they would. And just the fact of us being here now is kind of proof of that, you know what I mean? And, I'm just like, we need millions of you out there. We need millions of people that literally embody this message of advocating for children first, and really doing what it takes to, to get justice. And like I say, I mean, with the fact that you were on the legal side of that and doing the investigations, doing the work, the sleepless nights. And I mean, like what is that like when do these stories, like how do you feel about that with regard to when you see these stories, you hear these stories, you've lived through a lot of these stories, like kind of what does that do like to your psyche and you emotionally?
Oh, wow. For 20 years, couldn't, especially women, we couldn't show any emotion. If you showed any emotion or weakness, they would, you would be ostracized. So, I had to put on this tough exterior. I had to, watch horrible videos made of people sexually doing horrible things to children. I went to autopsies. I worked horrible, horrific cases. And I don't think those horror shows ever come out of your head. And I do think that a lot, especially some police officers, suffer from PTSD. I do. But the reason I do is because of what happened to me as a child as well. Mm-hmm. And I wish the police department, and it may be different now. I've been gone since 2008, but I wish the police department wouldn't be so like, they need to, and it, like I said, it could be different now, but back when I was on, it was like, suck it up. You didn't show any weakness. You didn't show any, emotion, because like I said, they would, especially, would ostracize you. So, you bottled that up. And, and I wrote you an email, and I have no problem saying this, that, I had to be treated for, alcohol and prescription drug um, abuse, because it was so sad. And, I would get off, and I'd sleep for a couple hours, and then boom, I'd get called right back in. And then I'd get back up and go back in. And I mean, it was never ending, back and forth, back and forth. And it was so much pressure and so much sorrow and sadness. And just, it was depressing, but at the same time, it was rewarding when you knew you got, you got the justice that these children deserved. But it will take a toll on you. And I don't hear any police officer say that it doesn't bother them, because it does.
Yeah. So speaking of the police, that's definitely something I want to talk about. I didn't used to harp on it so much before, but I definitely do now. As far as these people, I don't know if you caught one of the shows that I've said this. I think it is the dumbest thing ever for people to go around screaming, defund the police, the same police that these people will call and say, police, please come help us. Please come help us. We can't figure this out. Please come save us. Then they come and try to come save you according to the way they've been trained, according to the law. Next thing you know, we's gonna sue you for $5 million and cause you's hurt my babies. And so my whole thing is, I'm just kind of like, they can't win for losing. And then you're talking about, you want them to do a job properly and accurately, and you want them to accept less money to do the job. And last time I checked, I don't know too many people that are going to go around and go do their job for $4 or $5 less an hour, or anywhere else that they work, whatever the case is. How do you feel about that? I know you've heard people say defund the police. How do you feel about that?
Of course, I'm pro-police. No, I don't think we should defund the police. I do think, though, like I said, let's implement some more program. And like I said, maybe they already have, but let's implement some more like psychiatric counseling, so that it's not so taboo. Because and have those that are struggling, who like, we had it was horrible. We had a case where it was a Somalian man and a woman from Somalia, and she decided that she was going to divorce him. So she goes to work, and he decided, well, she wants to divorce me. So they had children 6 months to 6 years, and he slit all 4 of their throats and killed them all.
Wow.
Just because she said, I want to divorce you. Now, you walk into that scene, or you go to those autopsies, if that doesn't bother you, then something isn't clicking up here, because that should bother you. So to answer your question, no, don't defund the police. But I also believe that, just be, you get more flies with honey than you do vinegar. So, I mean, I understand you have to be tough. I'm not saying, be all, you have to be tough when you have to be tough, or stern when you need to be stern. But also, somehow we need to bridge that gap where people aren't so defensive or think that we're just automatically out to get them. And talk to people, treat people with respect. I mean, that's all it kind of comes down to, I believe. Treat everybody with respect, and they'll tell you more, and they'll do more. They'll listen to you.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I say is, I always tell people to give respect as opposed to expecting it, because if everybody gives, it will reciprocate. And especially when it comes to children, I hate when they say, children need to respect their parents. And I'm like, no, actually, I changed that, especially like, with me being a father, and I teach those lessons to everybody else. Give the children respect. You respect those children from the moment that they are born, and you will watch that respect manifest itself into something great. You know what I mean? But I think that's also a life thing. Let me ask you this. I won't take too much more of your time.
Oh, you're fine.
in your opinion, you've seen a lot, you know, like I say, with you being retired now, but you've been out there, you know, in the streets out there working to serve your country and your community. How do you feel like when it comes to us in society and the police? It seems like there's a lot of broken trust. Matter of fact, let me say this. Let me restate that. I don't think it is. I think what it is the media continues to put certain stories out there to make people believe that the trust is actually broken. So let me restate that. I think it's certain stories that are polarizing that they put out there on purpose. Okay. But what can we do as far as, because I know what I can do. You know, I know my police officers out there. I mean, I can't say that we're buddies or nothing, but I know a lot of them, and I know that, you know, they have a job to do. We have the job to do with citizens as well. And I feel like if everybody does their job, I think that could also help us as far as building trust between each other. Like, do you have any thoughts about that or suggestions as far as how the public and police can kind of, I guess, create some more bridges between each other?
I mean, this sounds kind of corny. I can't really, but, you know, have more like community activities where, you know, where the community comes together with the police. I mean, whether it's, I'm just saying, I mean, this is just off the top of my head, you know, a basketball game, just, or something where, you know, where the community is involved along with the police, and it's not, you know, like this, and have programs out there for, like I said, police getting the help they need, or if they need it, you know, as far as psychiatric, or, you know, just bridge that gap somehow. Try to figure out, you know, where can we where can we meet in the middle and have a commonality? I think we need to find a commonality, and I don't know if I know the exact answer on how to do that right now, but we need a commonality. And like I said, whether it's more like, you know, youth groups, have the police more involved with youth groups, have, you know, community picnics, I don't know, basketball games, something to where, like I said, you know, where it's not us versus them.
Yeah.
Because that's not the way that's not the way we're here to protect and serve. It shouldn't be us versus them.
Yeah. I totally agree. I'm not sure if I have, oh, I did have one person in the chat that had a very specific question, and they wanted to know if you've ever worked for ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children.
No, no, and what they're talking about. Well, I've had I did not do that. I am not, honey. I could barely turn the computer on. I know what they're talking. They're talking. We had a detective who did do that. However, I did work, and what they're talking about internet is that they're talking about like child pornography, you know, and photographs and things like that. So no, we had a specific detective that was assigned to that, but I did assist in those cases where, and you got to remember, everybody needs to remember, back when I was in there, CDs weren't real popular. It was still VHS tapes. And so people, what they would do is they would put in a VHS tape, say of, I don't know, some kid show, and then in the middle of it, they tape some horrific sexual act with a child. And I mean, so, I mean, when I would go on a search warrant, I'd have to collect all these tapes, and I'd have to watch through every single tape. So every single, I mean, sometimes there were hundreds.
Wow.
And yeah, and like I said, now I know it's harder to do with CDs and or DVDs rather, but yeah, I mean, it was intense. I mean, you had to take tons and tons of VHS tapes and things like that. So, but I know what they're talking about. But yeah, and they're even tougher on them because that, you know, child, you know, that's a federal crime, and they work a lot. The Internet Child Crimes Against Children works a lot with the FBI.
Yeah. As I know, that's a whole different beast in itself, and with the way that technology evolves, and unfortunately their world kind of evolves, those people doing those bad things, which ain't gonna stop us. You know, we definitely, you know, if we find out something, we'll definitely try to make sure and, you know, continue to just try to keep, you know, giving our babies a voice and try to help them however we can.
Right.
But let me go ahead and do this because I know we got a couple stories to talk about, and I've kept
Right.
you kind of late and waiting on me because I was late.
That's okay.
Definitely appreciate you. But would you like to give us your closing thoughts?
Well, again, my closing thoughts would be, again, like I said, be vigilant. Be, you know, watch out, watch thy neighbor. You know, be be active in your community. Talk to your neighbor. Don't just, I don't know them. Get to know everybody that you can within the community, and that way, if there's something, that you see or hear,
Hmm.
because people talk, and just be as vigilant, and don't be afraid to say anything, even if you are wrong. And it's so important to, um, like I said, even if it's just a small thing that you think, oh, they wouldn't care, police wouldn't care about that. That could like break open a case wide open.
Yeah.
Um, but I would love to come back. I know we don't have time, but I've got a whole story of my own as a child that's very interesting. And maybe I could come back another time, and we could talk about that, and you might understand why I'm so committed to helping and advocating for children.
Leigh, it'd be an absolute honor to have you back on. And like I say, I appreciate you being flexible, which, like I say, everybody's got a life. So I appreciate you being so flexible and coming on kind of at my convenience, you know what I mean? So I definitely appreciate you and be honored. We'll definitely keep in touch, but,
Okay.
we'd love to have you back on for sure.
Well, I would love to come back on. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. God bless you and the work you do, and everybody. And I told you this when we spoke earlier, that everybody in this community, I've never seen so much support and love and just kindness. And that's what really drew me to you all. Because, sometimes you get in on these other, and people just get mad, but I don't see that. And it's so genuine. I feel like this is a genuine group, and that is a blessing.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me.
It's an absolute honor. We'll keep in touch and we'll definitely bring you on here sometime soon for sure.
Okay, and I'll get on off here, but I'm going to finish watching your podcast.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to again thank Leigh for coming on. It's an absolute honor. For us to even start the conversation the way that we did in the community tab like that, I thought was really awesome. And I did see some of y'all comments in there. And like I say, that's why I also want to remind you guys to make sure and check that community tab, because sometimes we talk about things in there. We'll have polls in there and all that kind of good stuff.